Hare Krishna. Very good. Thank you all for coming to this most auspicious event. Prabhupada said actually there's a festival every day in Krishna consciousness. So, if you have a cell phone, and who doesn't these days? Kids come out of the womb and they're on there already texting, you know? If you could shut your phone off, that would be great. And the bad news will still be there. You won't miss anything. Don't worry. And I raised 2 children as a single parent. I know the difficulties of that, especially when they're under a certain age, before you can talk reason and logic to them. So if you have a kid that's going nuts or wants to give the talk instead of me, that happens sometimes. For the sake of everybody, including the kid, you can just take them outside. They can play happily and not feel the deep restraint of trying to, you know. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharani Nirvasesa Sunyavari Paskachade Satarani Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shiva Sari Go Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I thought my duty is to offer some, what is the meaning, what is the importance, what is the value of this festival? Krishna, in talking to his father, at the beginning of the Govardhan Leela, says that a event, religious ceremony, spiritual event, you can perform it in knowledge or just do it because, well, we've always done it that way. And if done superficially, there's some benefit, no doubt. But if one performs an act in knowledge, there's a much deeper impact, benefit, and effect. People are always looking, and it's human nature, and there's nothing wrong with it, are looking for a secret. Ah, there we go, my little friend. Hello. Everybody gets 3 strikes, like American baseball. We won't count that when we start counting now, okay? But don't make me be the heavy. Please, take responsibility. Don't make me give you the evil eye. I'm already got a bad reputation. Okay, bye-bye, my little friend. She can come back as soon as you start throwing the flowers, no problem. Acha. So, a secret, a hidden code, the inner meaning, a shortcut. Everyone's always looking for an inside deal. It's human nature. We are looking for these things. And there is a shortcut and a key that unlocks the door. It actually does exist. What is it unlocking the door to? Krishna in Bhagavad Gita gives a very simple but universal progression. Maybe when you were a kid, did you ever have one of those pictures and it says connect the dots? and you go from dot 1 to dot, and it makes a picture. So here's a little connect the dot progression Krishna gives in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He says, if we want happiness. Now, anybody in this room, we could have an Oprah moment here, a moment of self-confession. Anyone here not want to be happy? We have any closet masochists who just want to suffer through life? It's a universe. Prabhupada gives the example, if a little ant is crawling and you put your finger here, the ant will go this way, this way, that way. Even the ant, I don't even know if they have a brain, a nervous system. I don't know what they got. Of course, they have Krishna in the heart. But they're all trying to, everyone wants to, a plant will turn towards the sun. So every living entity, not just human beings, but certainly amongst human beings, is seeking happiness. How we define happiness, that's a whole other issue. But the principle of looking for happiness is universal. So we're all on board for that. Krishna says, if you want happiness. Okay, we all want happiness. So that's dot number 1. How to do it? Krishna says, well, you have to have controlled senses. Okay, I need controlled senses. A difficult proposal in our current day and times. The average child, I think, because of video games, has an attention span of, of less than 10 minutes, 7 minutes, whatever it is. But anyway, if you want happiness, which we all want, that's dot 1, then what do we need? Controlled senses. So what's the next logical question? I want happiness, yes. To get happiness, I need controlled senses. What's the next? Don't overthink it. What's the next logical question? How do I get controlled senses? Right? That's dot number 2. Well, Krishna says you need a steady mind. Makes sense. If your senses are completely agitated, we've seen it. You can't be happy anywhere. You're looking at your watch, you're thinking about this, your tongue's all over the mind, the senses are pulling you. Okay, so we need a steady mind. And we can experience that, even if you got great weather, you're right where you want to be. But if your mind is disturbed, then how can you be happy? So we want happiness, got to have controlled senses, we need a steady mind. What's the next logical question? How do we get a steady mind? Yeah, next logical question. Okay, Krishna says if you want a steady mind, you've got to have transcendental intelligence. You've got to have, like an ocean, it's all the churning on top of the waves, but you go down, it's very steady, very stable. So if you go deep, so we need to have deep transcendental intelligence. Okay, well, what's the next logical question? If I want happiness, need controlled senses, need a steady mind, it's a precursor. If I'm going to have happiness, got to have controlled senses, precursor to that, steady mind, precursor to that, transcendental intelligence. Then what do I need, Krishna says? We need to be fixed in the Supreme. Fixed in the Supreme will give you transcendental intelligence, will give you a steady mind, will give you controlled senses, will give you what we're all looking for, happiness. So what does that mean, fixed in the Supreme? That's the next logical question. Does it mean I'm glued to my seat? Does it mean that I'm fixed in all? What is it? I've merged, I found my home in the bright light of oneness? What does it mean? Does it mean to whatever? So that's, believe it or not, we're going to lay out a couple themes, assuming we have time. And then we're going to hopefully weave it together, which will give some import to why what we're doing today, bathing the deities in flowers, matters and what the benefit is. So that's where we're going. We have a bit of a roadmap. We're going to lay out some themes, weave it together, and hopefully it will give us a sense of, hey, what we're doing here really means something. And we'll have a better experience of the event. Okay, so what does it mean? in touch with the Supreme. Well, what is that Supreme? That Supreme, the general picture we have is vague. The Absolute, the Supreme is just some kind of, they really don't define it. Formless, whatever. Well, I actually met one yogi. He was speaking, and he said, if we roll everything in experience into one big ball, that's the Absolute. Well, let's see about that. Now, in the Sri Ashok, because ultimately we need to go to spiritual source books, I think doesn't really mean that much. I know it comes as a shock to people. I feel, I think. Really, what's it based on? We feel and think so many things, and it's changing all the time. So really to set our compass by what I think based on our limited experience, our agitated senses, so it's really not a sound foundation. There's different pramanas. They're called sources of evidence. Sense perception is one. Well, the collective knowledge of humankind, well, they say, that's another pramana. But the ultimate pramana or proof or basis of moving forward is called Shabda Brahman. It means that which is eternal, spiritual. And the Vedic literatures emanate from that Shabda Brahman, those transcendental sources. So one of those Vedic literatures, the Sri Ashopanishad, fixed in that transcendental Shabda Brahman, has a mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasisyate. That the Absolute is that from which everything emanates. And even though emanating so many complete units, it remains complete. A practical example of that is if I have a candle, from that one candle I can light so many other candles of equal candle power. Still, the original candle remains. So although everything is emanating from the Absolute, it doesn't become diminished. Now, okay, we can't really love the inherent desire, nature, instinct, default mode of every living entity is to love. We all want to love and be loved. Even we don't, people go through so much in life, divorce, death, disappointment. So they'll get a cat or a dog. At least the dog is happy to see you come home. The cat is happy to see you come home as long as you feed it. You don't feed it, it's gone. So it's not really love. It loves the cat food. It doesn't really love you. You're just a delivery system. But still, people, we all want to love something and be loved. It's just the way we're wired that way. And there's a good reason. We'll get to that in a second. So we can't just love a principle. People don't die on a battlefield for truth, and the homeland. Really, they die to protect their family or to protect their friends in a big war. They die for the guy next to them. They die to protect their family. They don't really. People, it's very hard, really, practically, to dedicate your life to just a principle. It has to be personified. And here's the reason why. It may sound like a divergence, but hopefully it'll make the point. If I have a set of basic algebra, sorry, folks, you didn't escape. You thought you got away when you graduated. Nope, the principle still remains. If I have a set of numbers, picture a set of numbers, and I take from that set of numbers a subset. Can I have anything in that subset that's not found in the original set? Yeah, it's not math calculus or E equals MC squared. You have a set, any subset must have a number that was in the original set. Srila Prabhupada and the Vedas give a better example. if I take a drop of water out of the ocean, I can analyze it. There'll be so much sodium, so much this. I can analyze that drop's chemical components. Will I find anything in that drop that is not in the original ocean? Will I or won't I? No, it's not a trick question. You won't. Now, we all have personality. Each one of us has an individual personality. In fact, that is the inherent expression of our selfhood. We don't like to be treated, oh, don't treat me like a number. I'm an individual. We all have our individual personalities. It is the very nature of ourselves, isn't it? That's what makes the world full of flavor. We're all of different natures, different personalities, and that mix of different personalities makes the experience the human experience. One element of it, certainly. So we all have personalities, right? And we're not arrogant, but we're attached. We're proud of where we are. There's a self-confidence that comes from that self-identity. So we all have personalities. The absolute truth, the cause of all causes, has no personality, has no form, has no senses, is simply a glittering light. What do you think? To be Purnam, to be complete, to be the cause of all causes, to be the source of everything in existence, how can we have something that the Absolute does not have? Anyone see the seamless logic in such a proposal? It's bogus. The Supreme Absolute has to have a personality. Now, if that Absolute is the source of all beauty, of all knowledge, of all strength, of all wealth, what must that personality be like? In Christian tradition, God is an old man with a beard. They're thinking, I had a father, my father had a father, my father's father had a father. The further back you go, the older you get, right? So if God is the Adi Purusha, the original father, he must be old and with gray hair and a beard, maybe rheumatism, not in a very good mood, smiting and smoting and throwing thunderbolts. The Brahma Samhita accepts the absolute Purana Purusham. Yes, the cause of all causes, the Supreme Lord, Krishna, God, is the original oldest person. Yes. When you go back, this father, this had a cause, this had a cause. If you go back, Jai Radha Giridhari. If you go back and back and back, yes, that cause that has no other causes, that karana karanam, sarva karana karanam, that cause of all causes, is the absolute truth. But Brahma Samhita, again, one of these Shabda Brahman Vedic literatures, Hare Krishna, it says, it balances both. Purana Purusham, the oldest person, but then it says Nava Yovanam Cha, that he's the supreme youth. If I had a magic wand, we'll take you, this young lady in front. That's what you get for sitting in front. Suppose I had a magic wand or mystic power. Poof! You're 90 years old. Would you be happy about that? Yeah, she'd be surprised. You're being polite. No, it's very nice. She says, I'd be a bit surprised. Anybody here want to try Swami's magic potent and become 90 years old? Now, on the other side of the coin, if we had a few 90 years old, hey, forget 90. Take 70, take 60, take 50. Poof, I'll make you 24. Would you take it? Hey, man, everybody signs up. A new fundraiser for the temple. So the logic of the absolute truth being an old man with a beard? It doesn't make... The absolute truth, the supreme person, the absolute truth is a person, has to be, because we're all persons, so there has to be a personal aspect, and that personal aspect should be stunningly gorgeous. Sham, Rupa, Shamasundar, absolutely stunningly gorgeous. If someone is the source of all beauty, shouldn't that person be beautiful? Stunningly beautiful? So this is Krishna, the cause of all causes. He is stunningly beautiful. And it makes complete logic. Now, we're going to weave together a couple themes. The absolute, one of the great teachers of the Vedic tradition from South India, Madhvacharya, he's always pictured sitting like this. Now, does it mean he was an early hippie? Does it mean he was a precursor of Winston Churchill, V for Victory? Anyone know? Actually, he's making a profound spiritual principle. It is often presented, it's actually almost always presented, that, and if you're talking to some yogi or some big philosopher, ask them, okay, fine, shouldn't you ask, if I follow you, you're offering some teaching, some advice, some, life coach or what, if I follow your advice perfectly, what will be the result? Is that a logical question? Do you go to the travel agency and say, here's $1,000, send me anywhere? Don't tell me. Just give me an envelope. I'll get on the plane. I don't want to offend anybody. You want a vacation for a month downtown Detroit? I don't recommend it. I've been there. I mean, there's nice people in Detroit, but put your hand on your wallet. And it's not very scenic. You want to know where you're going. Isn't that logical? We're going on vacation, but I'm not telling you where. That sounds a little fishy to me. So ask these people, okay, if I follow you perfectly, where do I wind up? And the usual presentation is, it's hackneyed, stale, incomplete, and incorrect. They give an analogy. And remind me, who can help me out? Remind me, I want to say something, I've taken a punch at everybody else. I want to take a punch at the impersonal Buddhists. Help me remember. There's many good things we can learn from. There are many good things we can learn from different places. Don't get me wrong. But the absolute conclusion, that we have to know. So, I forgot what I was going to say. Well, we'll take a punch at the Buddhists. Isn't the desire to become desireless a self-centered desire? Think about that for a moment. The desire to become desireless is in fact a self-centered desire. If I have a basket of snakes, poisonous snakes, I don't recommend you try this at home, but if I have a basket of snakes and I put a lid on it, the snakes will calm down, right? They'll stop hissing and thrashing. So after they quiet down, don't you try this at home, if I take the lid off and stick my head inside, have the snakes become pacified? Wham! They'll bite me immediately. Personhood, selfhood, desire is the very nature of the self. How do you know if something's lived? You see some walrus or whale is washed up on the beach. What's a simple way to test if it's alive? You give it a little poke. Be ready to run, But life, activity is the very sense of it's the very manifestation of the sense, the presence of the self. One of the books we read by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, one of the great teachers in our tradition, is called Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now, Chaitanya Charitamrita, what does that mean? It means the activities of the life force in immortality. And I remember what I was going to say. But please remember that. The activities of the life force in immortality. What, and I'll connect it, what we hear from these so-called, yogis and swamis and Western philosophers, what is the end of their path? What is the perfection? They give the example of the ocean. They may say it in different ways, but this will give you the picture. The ocean is washing and churning, but it's one, the great ocean. When the ocean splashes on a rock, drops of water separate from the ocean and fly through space, right? So we have the oneness of the ocean. By some event, they can't describe what that event is, some event, it hits a rock, and the little drop flies through space. But eventually, what happens to that little drop? Boom, it drops back to the ocean and becomes one. So they say that, yes, all of us now have individual personalities. But we were all one once. We were all one once. By some event, like hitting that rock, they cannot explain what that event is. Somehow or other, the oneness separated into many. But the goal is to merge back into that oneness, to again, like that little drop, to become one with the great ocean. That's what they all say. I'm telling you, top Western philosophers, that's what they all say. In fact, wherever you go, practically speaking, the yogis from India, they'll say that's the message of the Vedas. It's not true. And to disprove it, Madhvacharya sits like this. And he is not a precursor to Winston Churchill or the hippie movement. He's making the point that eternally, Nitya Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bahanam Yo Vedadati Kaman. The Katha Upanishad says that yes, we are all eternal, and the Supreme Lord is also eternal. But that chief Eko Bahanam Yo Vedadati Kaman, that one chief eternal, the Supreme Lord, Krishna God, he's maintaining all of the others. So yes, there's two. Even in liberation, we never become one. We don't merge with the light or Om or the ocean. But as there's eternally Krishna as an individual, and there's eternally us as an individual. There's two. Even in liberation, there's us, the individual living entities, and the Supreme Lord. Ah, there's another little friend. Where's my little friend? Oh, only that's one strike. You get two more, don't worry. You're still in the game. So, why does it matter? Oh, this Swami is sitting there rambling on about this and that, making this V. Why does it matter? Bye-bye. Thank you very much. And we'll be done in just a sec. Then he can come back for she can, for the blissful flowers. Thank you a lot. Okay. Why the two? Why does it matter? Suppose the child says to the mother, you know, this world is stressful. I want to go back into your womb. Is that a very good proposal? I mean, even if it was physically possible, would the mother be very happy about that? What? You don't want to be, no life, no independent relation? And what is the happiness there? We all become one. Or, suppose somebody, again, Dr. Swami, you come to me with your child, and your child has a fever. You say, Dr. Swami, can you reduce the fever? I take a gun, shoot the kid, boom, dead. Pay me now. What? Hey, is the fever gone? The fever's gone, right? Whoa, but so this world, there may be struggle and suffering. But to become one, to end our individual identity, to commit spiritual suicide, that's not the answer. Chaitanya Charitamrita. the activity of the life force of each and every one of us in individuality, what in eternality, what is that? Simple math, again, it's not even math. Anyway, suppose, you know what a number line is? You have 0 and all the negative numbers and all the positive numbers. Just picture in your mind, just flat line, 0, negative, and plus. Is the perfection to come to 0? Sure, you're out of the negative range. So this idea, let me just, find my home and Om, merge into the light, become one with the Absolute. Okay, you've ended the struggles of this world on one hand. And there's a lot of them: birth, death, disease, old age, miseries caused by other living entities, miseries caused by the mind and the body, miseries caused by material nature. There's a lot going on. As they say in Italy, there's always a rock in the shoe. You try to walk and there's a rock. There's always something in this. Okay, so come to 0. And if that's all you can do, if that's all there is to come to 0, all right then, that's an accomplishment. But what if there's the whole realm of positive numbers? What if there are pure spiritual activities of the self, of the soul? What if there is a spiritual dimension to life? Prabhupada used to say that if we make Krishna our lover, he will never leave us. If we make Krishna our master, he will never send us away or cheat us. If we make Krishna our son, he will never grow up. So, if there's actually two in eternality, if there's actually the Supreme Lord, and then us, all of us as individuals, what is our relation to that Absolute? That Supreme Lord, all-attractive, beautiful Krishna. That relationship, understanding that, developing that. There was a man, I'm just looking at the time, there was a man who was blind, could be a woman, but anyway, there it is. There was a man who was blind, how does it go? Blind, poverty-stricken, and childless. So 3 big problems: penniless, poverty-stricken, blind, and no children. And he was given one wish, and you can't wish for unlimited wishes. Nice try. What do I wish with that one wish? What did he do? 3 problems, 1 wish. Anybody know? He wished to see his children from the roof of his palace. You follow? Wish to see his children from the roof of his palace. One wish, if he's seeing his children, he can see. If he's got children, then there it is. And if he's on the roof of his palace, he's not poverty-stricken. So what is that? We said in the beginning, everybody wants happiness. We're struggling, and anyone who doesn't. I saw a bumper sticker the other day. It said, if you're not paranoid, you're not paying attention. If you're not paranoid, you're not paying attention. Okay, there's a little happiness. If I have an itch, I scratch it. If I'm thirsty, I get a drink of water. There's different pushing factors. What is it? Vachovegam, Krodavegam, Manasavegam. There's different the senses are pushing us, the mind is pushing, anger is pushing us. All these things are pushing us. And you get a little relief. You let the pressure valve off. Oh, we call that happiness. But it's not really. Again, it's coming to 0. It's not the full positive spectrum. What if they're actually, what that secret is, the message, the hidden code of all spiritual teachings, is it learning to develop our love for Krishna, for the Absolute. That it will bring the happiness we're all seeking. It's called bhakti. And bhakti, or devotion, it's not the same as lust. I have an itch, you scratch it. I've got some problem, you solve it. Om Jagad, what does it they say? God give us this day our daily bread. That's not love of God, my guru used to say. That's love of bread. He's just the delivery system. Oh, well, let's pick on the Christians. Let me offend everybody. Om Jaya Jagadishari, give me a new car and a house by the sea. That's not love of God. We want something. So, it's a true story. We had my Uncle Chuck. Uncle Chuck has passed away, so he won't be mad at me. My Uncle Chuck would only call my father when he wanted something. He was in jail. He wanted a loan. He had a new business scheme he wanted my father to invest in. It got to the point that my mom would say, it's your brother on the phone, my Uncle Chuck. My father would just what does he want? How much does he want? Just get it over with, Suppose you have somebody who's only with you because you can do something for them. What can you give me? What can you do for me? What do I gain by your Is that love? Do you feel close to that person? Do we open up our heart to such a person? What do you think? But somebody who loves us simply because of who we are. That's love. So we love Krishna. The residents of Vrindavan, that's why Vrindavan is called the apex, the culmination of spiritual knowledge. They love Krishna. They didn't even know Krishna was God. Because it's an in-house audience. Vishnu or Narayan. It's that aspect of God who's maintaining all things. Janardhan, he's, maintaining all living entities, present in everyone's heart. Okay, that's one aspect of God. Prabhupada said that is God in the office. Someone asked him, what's the difference between Narayan and Vishnu and Krishna? Prabhupada said, Narayan, Vishnu, that's God in the office. But Krishna, that's God at home. Home, relaxed. We all know that. Your full self comes out at home. You may be sitting. Prabhupada tells the story, and we do have just a few minutes. Lord Gladstone, who I think was Queen Victoria's prime minister, but whatever. He was prime minister of England at one point in time. Ambassador from Russia came to see Lord Gladstone. Lord Gladstone's secretary said, he's very busy, just wait here. You have to wait in the anteroom or, sitting room. Ambassador from America, I have a very pressing business. I need to see the prime minister. He's really busy now. You just got to wait. Ambassador from France shows up. Ambassador from Japan, China. All the important, movers and shakers of London show up. Head of the Bank of London. They're all cooling their heels. He's very busy. You have to wait. So they all became curious. Oh, who's he seeing? Is Queen Victoria in there? So one of them boldly got the courage to just peek through a window on the outside garden. You know what Lord Gladstone, the Prime Minister of England, was doing? He was on all fours pretending to be a horse, and his grandson was riding him. Go left, go right, and he was having a great time. So although he was practically speaking the most powerful man in the world, one of the most powerful men in the world, he was completely captured by his grandson's love. They have a saying, what do you give the person who has everything? What do you buy him? They've already got a gold-plated whatever it is. What are you going to buy him? They already got a personal jet. But you give them love, and they become captured. So Krishna is the cause of all causes. Aham sarvasya prabhaho. Everything emanates from Krishna. So how to capture Krishna? Krishna becomes captured by our love. When the little jiva, the little in us, each one of us, offers our love to the Supreme Lord, that captures the absolute truth, the cause of all causes, the most beautiful, sublime, merciful personality of Godhead becomes captured. And that's the mood of Vrindavan. They don't love Krishna because of what Krishna can give them. They love Krishna because he's Krishna. Now, one last thing and we'll end. What makes love in this world? People think, oh, she's so beautiful, he's so handsome. What do they call that when you get married? Is it called First 20 pounds or whatever. They have a name for it. Trust me. Once that ring is on the finger, boom, 20 pounds. The guy pumps out because, where'd that big belly come from? Even if not, keep going to the gym, keep jogging. Time and tide take their toll. Gray hairs, things. We all know. I don't want to have to get into it, but so that so-called beauty, motivated by lust, they call it the 7-year itch. That physical attraction wears off. People criticize arranged marriage. I'm going a bit aside. And it has to be done right. You have to see if they line up. There has to be physical attraction. That's one of the features. But it's not the major feature. What actually develops love? Shared experiences. When you go through something with somebody, you buy that first house, you raise kids together. There's many setbacks in life. In richness and poverty, and it's for health and whatever it is, sickness and health. When you go through that shared experience with somebody, that's when the relationship becomes thick. That's when the relationship actually becomes real love. Those shared experiences. Bhava, bhakti, the happiness we're all looking for. When we engage in Krishna's service, not what can you give me, what do I want, because I'm afraid of going to hell, or whatever it may be. I want 7 virgins. Whatever the tradition is. That's not love. That is not bhakti. And that will not ultimately satisfy us. But when we learn to love Krishna, we're all serving something. Anybody who says they're not serving somebody is serving their pride and their ego. So there you go. You're still serving somebody. We're serving our tongue. We're serving our belly. We're serving the nation. We're serving our family. We're serving our senses. We're serving our pride. We're serving our lust. The list goes on and on and on. Everybody serves somebody. So what is the intelligent? Even you don't serve. One man said to Prabhupada, I don't bow down to anyone. Prabhupada says, you bow down to time. You bow down to death. Men said the death rate's so high in India. Of course, that was in the 70s. Prabhupada said the death rate's the same everywhere. 100%. Everybody's got to bow down. You can't help it. So we all have to serve somebody. So it's not a question of, I'm an independent man, a woman, No. You're so independent, don't hold your breath. What is it? What do they call those? Free diving? What is it called? Those guys can go how long? What is the record? Anybody want to Google it? It's like 8 minutes, maybe 10. Hey, let's be generous. 10 minutes. How long was your so-called we can't even live more than 10 minutes without a breath of air. What is our independence? So we all have to serve someone, something. So what is the only intelligent question? The gift of humankind. What is that question to ask? Who to serve? Thank you very much. It's the only legitimate question that matters. Who to serve? Do I serve myself? If you serve Krishna, then you can serve everyone perfectly. Prabhupada rang his bell one time. Srila Prabhupada, the founder of the Harekrishna movement, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. He's up doing his translating work. He had a little bell if he needed something. He would ring his little bell. His servant came in. Prabhupada said, I've been watching this spider. He's been trying to get up the wall all day long, all night long. He must be very tired. Prabhupada broke off a little piece of sandesh. Prabhupada said, pick him up with this sandesh, take him outside. You learn to love Krishna, who's the cause of all causes. What makes a family? You have a common parent. That makes a family. So if we accept Krishna as the source, if we learn to love Krishna, you love everything perfectly. So what is happening today, because now it is time to end, we have a chance to serve Krishna. Don't let me forget, I want to read just one excerpt. We'll end there, a letter by Prabhupada, a little note that sums it up. But we're all giving our love somewhere. We're all serving something. And it doesn't really satisfy. And even if it satisfies, it doesn't last. It does not stand the test of time. Romeo and Juliet, how did that work out? So, there it is. But if we learn to love Krishna, and it doesn't matter how. There's the famous story, and I won't go into it, not story, it's history, of Ram Leela. And you have Hanuman they're building the bridge to Lanka, and Hanuman's throwing these huge boulders. And there's a little squirrel kicking in some sand. Hanuman says, out of my way, I'm Lord Ram. Of course, Hanuman is the greatest of devotees. I'm not minimizing at all. But Lord Ram stopped him and said, no. According to his ability, this squirrel, he's doing what he can do. You're doing what you can. You have a big body. You're doing what you can do. And this little squirrel's doing what he can do. They were both equally accepted by Lord Ram. So we all can serve Krishna somehow or other. We can serve the Supreme. How to do that? We learn it. We ask advanced devotees. We read in the Shastra. But there's Mahajans. The Mahajans are the great souls. Some of them are married. Some of them are single. Some of them are kings. Bali Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, they were all kings. Yamaraj is one of the Mahajans. He's a king. He's married. Lord Brahma, he's married. You've also got the four Kumars. You've got Narada Muni. They were brahmachari. So it doesn't matter what your situation in life is. But if we learn the art of giving our love to Krishna, to the Supreme, our mind will be fixed in that Supreme, not some void picture, but beautiful, sweet Shama Sundar Krishna, with his dancing form and his flute. It'll be fixed in that. Automatically, our intelligence becomes steady. Am I going to chase after all these futile material things? Am I going to compete with everybody? Try to push them down and push myself up? Forget it. I want to serve Krishna. I want to do something in my life that glorifies Krishna. That's transcendental intelligence. Then the mind becomes controlled, the senses become controlled, and lo and behold, we become happy. An ever-increasing, ever-growing, eternal happiness that survives death. We go back to Krishna. So at today's festival, I'll read the quote and we'll be done. This is Srila Prabhupada writing in a letter. It's a lecture actually, from 1974. Krishna was just a toy in the hand of the gopis. So one day the gopis decided that we shall decorate him. Pushpa Abhisheka, that's what we're doing today, means a ceremony to decorate the deity, the Lord, with flowers, ornaments, cloth, to decorate with flowers profusely. When a devotee with that's us, all of us here in this room, when a devotee with all of his heart, his or her heart, and soul serves Krishna, dresses him with nice garments, gives him a flower, Krishna smiles. And if you can get Krishna to smile upon you just once, your life's goal is fulfilled. I'm going to say that again. If we can get Krishna to smile upon us just once, our life's goal is fulfilled. So today is a time, a chance, with all of your heart, offer some flower to beautiful Krishna. Don't ask for, fix my rheumatism, Om Jaya Jagadishari, give me a new car by the sea, give me a lifetime supply of bread. If you do that, you will be cheating yourself. Chanakya Pandit says, never give up the permanent for the temporary, you will lose both. Again, never give up the permanent for the temporary, you will lose both. The temporary you're going to lose by the force of time anyway. Seek the eternal. That will give us permanent happiness. So here's a chance to develop a sweet relationship with Krishna, Pushpa Abhishekam. And I think we're right on time. Yeah? Where's our pujaris? Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.